Hi, hello YouTube. Welcome back to the channel. So, this right here, as you guys can see on the screen, is the theory of the Death of Slim Shady album. Now, the theory behind this was, well, this happened like maybe 2 or 3 days ago after Slim Shady released, or Eminem released the Death of Slim Shady album. I wouldn't say this went viral, but it's been known. And I've seen a lot of YouTubers, or maybe not a lot, but I've seen like 2 or 3 YouTubers react to this, kind of hoping that it would make sense. And this is going to be my theory of how I think it is. So, starting off at number 1, Somebody Save Me foreshadows Marshall's death. Now, keep in mind, I did watch the video of Marshall, of the music video of Somebody Save Me. And that is literally what happens in this title right here about Marshall's death. He's getting lowered down in his coffin, and you can actually hear the tears or something coming down on his coffin, I believe. If I hope. Yeah. Sorry, you guys. I'm sorry if I can't speak. I'm just too excited to talk about this. Cause man, if you a Slim Shady fan, you is gotta be so excited. Anyways, we're moving on. Guess who's back? Signals the return of Slim Shady. Now I've seen a YouTuber, I don't know who it was, I forgot who it was. But he talks about like Slim Shady is gonna return now because since Marshall is being buried, there's nobody who could stop him now. So that is unleashing him coming back. Now here's also a thing. Of course, this will tie into Toby. And what happens at the end of the skit? Slim is walking away, correct? What happens in the beginning of Toby? There's footsteps walking in. So that could be Slim Shady walking in. Even though we see the music video of Toby, and obviously it's Marshall walking in, but at the exact same time, that is also Slim Shady. There's probably a bunch of Slim Shades behind Marshall following him. And next up, in this music video, we could also see a lot of well, not a lot. We see like the posters in the train. That pretty much also signals Slim Shady. That's his shadows. That's why it says it right here. Slim Shady shows up when things don't go as planned. Also, Marshall is singing or rapping just like the way how Slim Shady would. Next up, we go to bad ones. Suggests Marshall's job is done and he disappears. Now, this one, you can actually hear Marshall say that to himself. He says, all right, I think my job is done here. Now it's time for me to go. I'm going to vanish into the air or something like that. Yeah. So that also makes sense. But he's also rapping, again, just like the way how Slim Shady would. And next one is a letter to Haley before he dies. Now, I will be honest. This song made me cry like a bitch. I'm not going to lie to you. And, well, like you can actually tell that Marshall sensed that something's not right. Like he knows something is coming for him. So he sent this letter to Haley to apologize for everything that he has done. So that pretty much makes sense. Next up is Head Honcho, references the story of Ezekiel or Ezekiel or something like that. That it's another rapper. But it talks about him and Slim Shady's creation. Because Ezekiel has 2 different personalities too. So, I don't know what to say about this one, but it does make sense. Because next up, once we go to Guilty Conscience 2, you can see it right here. Slim Shady laughs after Paul hangs up, indicating that it wasn't a dream. But in this song, you can actually hear Slim Shady is telling Marshall that he's the reason for all of this. He's the reason for his money. He's the reason for his fame. He's the reason for, pretty much everything. He's the reason for it. And obviously, we know Marshall doesn't want to be like that no more. He's saying, hey, you got to chill out. You don't need to be like this. This stuff is not cool. I thought it was cool, but it's not. It's embarrassing that everything that you're doing is embarrassing. Everything that you caused me to do was embarrassing. See? But Slim is telling him, bro, you are me. We are a team. You need me. Because without me, you're nothing. Then look at everything that I have done. Ever since I was here, you was nothing. Or whenever I was here, I was able to speak what you were scared to say. That's why I made you who you were. But ever since I've gone, you were nothing but a punk and a scaredy cat and a chicken. Because keep in mind, Marshall's not really like that no more. He doesn't really want to rap the way how he used to rap. But after Slim or Marshall supposedly shot and killed Slim, he calls Paul because he wakes up from a dream. Like everything that he has done, like throughout this album, 1 to 6, it was a nightmare to him. So he calls Paul and says, Paul, blah, 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 blah. Paul hangs up, and there's a laugh at the end. That's pretty much Slim laughing either at Eminem or Paul. Because either Paul's not taking him seriously or he's laughing at Marshall because he thinks he thought it was a dream. And that also ties up to breaking news. Slim shows Marshall the chaos he started. That ties into everything that he said in Guilty Conscience too. Because as we know, everybody will respond to things like that. Like in a second. Everybody will respond. Next up is Houdini. This one also makes sense because Paul wishes Marshall luck thinking he's on attendance. Because what happened in Guilty Conscience 2? He hung up, right? That pretty much makes sense because when he calls back after he heard the news and he heard the whole entire album, you can actually hear that he wants to say something more. Like, because there's a hesitation. He says, I was listening to the album. Notice how there was like a bit of like a 2-second silence. That's because he kind of hesitates to say, hey, I thought you were messing with me or blah, blah, blah. Whatever it was that he thought about saying. Next up, this one also talks about like about how Slim Shady is now now messing with Marshall because Marshall is literally rapping about everything that Slim would say. So this makes sense. Plus, at the very end of the song, what happens at the end? Marshall is driving with dang it, I forgot his name. I forgot the dude's name. But he's driving with him, and what's happening at the end? He's speeding, he's swerving, everything like that. And that ties into road rage. So, that one says, Slim dyes Marshall's hair blonde again. And that also makes sense, because in the middle of the track, you can actually hear Slim dyeing Marshall's hair blonde. He says, here we go. Marshall says, what are you doing? When Slim says, I'm dyeing our hair again. You going back blonde with me. Marshall is telling him, no, don't do it. But Slim is not listening. He still continues to do it. Next up, that ties into fuel. Indicates the Reaper is coming for Marshall. Now, here's a few things that I can say about this one. At the very end of the song, not at the very end, but at the end of Marshall's verse, before it goes into the what is it called? What is it called? I forgot what it's called, but you do hear Marshall say you're gonna suffer the wreath because the Reaper's coming. But this also means during Marshall's verse, his first verse, I heard him say something about I used to be 8 feet tall, then I grew another 8 feet or something like that, and I became God. And that also makes sense because who will claim himself as God? Like in the end of the world, right? During the end games, during the end times, right? Who will proclaim himself to be God? The Antichrist, right? But in the Antichrist, it also mentions Kurt Cobain and hints at Marshall's end. What happened with Kurt Cobain's? He shot himself, correct? Now in Antichrist, you can actually hear Marshall like he's having fun. You can tell he's having fun rapping with Slim. He's not rapping or like trying to do anything to stop him. You can actually hear Marshall is having too much fun rapping with Slim Shady. Next up is Lucifer. And this one also makes sense because the Antichrist is pretty much the son of Lucifer. And he, is the most powerful one over Lucifer. I mean, the Antichrist. Now, this one sets up the final switch, the finale with a switch between Marshall and Slim. Now, you can hear the chicken. I think that's the switches. But in this one, you can hear in Marshall's voice, he's also having too much fun in here because he's now morphing and accepting the fact he needs to become or rap like Slim Shady. So, yeah, this one makes sense. Next up is All You Got. Slim asserts his dominance over Marshall. Now, this one, you can actually hear, like, Marshall, he's kind of, like, you can tell he's having fun, but he can tell that something's not right. A YouTuber said that, too. This YouTuber that I was reacting to before I saw this, he's also this YouTuber, he's a rapper and he does reactions. So I heard this from him. So I hope he doesn't mind. But in this one, you can actually tell that Marshall is telling him, Marshall is saying, yo, why are you doing this? Because he can tell something's not right. And Slim is telling him, yo, you need me, bro. You gotta rap like me. How many times have you tried to kill me? I always come back, no matter what you do. And keep in mind, this wasn't the first time Marshall tried to kill Slim. There is an old album, like long time ago. And in that one, I heard what seems to sound like Slim Shady. Marshall is literally like panicking. He's saying, how are you still alive? I killed you. But Slim is saying, you can't kill me no matter what. I'm always going to be here. So this one also makes sense backwards because he's saying no matter what you do, I'm still forever and ever going to be here. There's nothing you can do. And I'm all you got. You need me. You know it. And you can hear Marshall's breathing and you can tell he's listening to him because he's like, damn, you're kind of right. I do need you. But you need to kind of like not do all this shit now. Because he knows he's doing a little bit too much. But Slim is saying, hey, this is the only way. If we are going to be back at the top, you need to be just like me. Period. Next up is Evil. Foreshadows Slim's complete takeover. Now, this one also does make sense because Slim and Marshall, Marshall has now completely, or not completely, but he's morphing into Slim Shady. He's starting to rap exactly like Slim Shady. So, those two are still, again, having fun on this track. But Slim, or Marshall, tells him to stop because before he shoots at a crowd, and Slim is just like, goddamn, all right, he's not fully there yet. So this one also ties into Brand New Dance because he's telling him, Brand New Dance says Slim shows his evil by mocking Reeves. If y'all don't know who Christopher Reeves is, don't worry, I'll tell you. Christopher Reeves was a guy who fell off a horse long time ago, alright? And he became a crippled guy. I don't know what it was that he was diagnosed with, or not diagnosed, but what he became as. But he was paralyzed from his neck all the way down. So he couldn't move. And this one, Slim is like just pure evil by mocking this dude. All right. Now, in this one, this ties into Guilty Conscience 2. Because what happened in Guilty Conscience 2, he said he knows Chris Reeves' song was recorded in 2004 for Encore. But Marshall took it off because he died. But since Slim Shady has taken over, Slim has brought the album back. And now he's rapping about Christopher Reeves. And you can hear Marshall in this song saying, dancing to wheelchair bound, here we go, horseback, little do-si-do. And it's talking about him saying, oh, this is my Chris anthem. I'm giving Chris Reeves his flowers or something like that. But at the very end of the song, Slim wakes up with the yell and the alarm clock. And he wakes up from the dream. And right there, when he said, holy shit, to me, it sounds like Marshall woke up he's already tied up. And he said, holy shit, because he realized he's tied up. Because you can kind of hear like a bit of an aggressive, like, stop. Because that's Slim Shady. And he's saying, and that's why in Trouble, it says Slim drugs and ties up Marshall. And Marshall, keep in mind, Marshall don't drink no more. He don't do drugs no more. But Slim, he does drugs and drinks. And he's saying, here, drink this. Marshall doesn't know what's in the cup. Could be poison, could be alcohol, could be whatever. And he forces him to drink it. And then he just goes on a full crazy rampage. Which was funny and also fucked up. But you know what I mean? That is Slim Shady. That is what he do. And I ain't judging him. Even though I should. But goddamn it, I'm not trying to beef with him. Not trying to get my career down the toilet or nothing like that. Anyways, this one ties into habits because keep in mind, at the very end of Trouble, Slim says, when are you going to realize that we need each other? Right? But Marshall, he still doesn't see it. He doesn't understand it. And he doesn't realize it. And he probably never will. But it also does ties into habits because it says, Marshall struggles while Slim forces him to take a pill. And what happens at the beginning of Habits? You can hear Marshall like he's struggling. He's trying to get out. But he's tied up. And he has what sounds like rope on his mouth. And Slim is saying, here, you take this pill or I put a bullet, I will shoot you. Now, this one also kind of makes sense because I didn't know why, but if you listen to it like Renaissance first and Somebody Save Me last, Slim, obviously, we saw the trailer. Slim rises out of the grave, and I'm like, wait a second, how does he already have a gun and bottle of pills? But now listen to it in reverse, now it makes sense. But after Slim Shady makes him take half of a pill because he says, here, we'll split it. We'll split the pill. You take half, I'll take half. So, Marshall is rapping about like the crazy stuff. He's rapping up the exact way how Slim Shady would. So, you can actually, and after that, you can actually hear Slim, like in the middle of the track, you can hear Slim say, this shit is like opioid abuse. Isn't it? And Marshall says, yup. So, at the end of the song, you can actually hear Slim say, I'm just playing little people. You know I love you. And that's exactly what Slim Shady was doing, like, throughout the years. You know what I mean? And I hope that made sense. And next up is Renaissance. This one is full on Slim Shady. There's no Marshall. Marshall is buried. He's dead. He's buried. That's why Renaissance, Slim buries Marshall and spits his first solo track without him, hinting at the unleashing of Slim Shady inside B. Now, that is a thing that everybody was talking about. And if this right here, is true and that he's coming back in side B, bro, I swear to God, I swear to Jesus, I will lose it, bro. Because, man, I've been waiting for Slim Shady to come back. And if this right here, if this theory really is true, I would be so freaking, bro. I swear to God, I will be jamming to that deluxe side B probably for like days. Man, bro. So I don't know, like I don't know if this is a reach, because some people are saying that this is a reach because it doesn't make sense backwards, but to us, it does make sense backwards. It makes sense forwards, don't get me wrong, but if you listen to it backwards, it makes too much sense backwards and perfect. Some, like the whole entire album, the song says, like the songs connect to one another. But listen to it backwards, it makes too much sense. And keep in mind, Marshall or Eminem said, you guys need to listen to the album in order, or like he said, something about the album is a conspiracy album. Therefore, if you don't listen to the album in order, it might not make sense. But keep in mind, he did not say which way was the right order. He didn't say, yo, listen Renaissance first and then Somebody Save Me for last, because he didn't say that. So we don't know exactly which one was the correct order. So pretty much we can listen to it in like any kind of type of way. So me personally, I think, or I don't think, but I like it like this one right here. Somebody Save Me first and Renaissance last. Because this is pure genius. I don't know who found this out, but bro, whoever found this out, you a genius. You're a genius, and Eminem is a genius because this is too perfect. So this is it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I really do hope that I made sense of it. If I didn't make sense, I apologize, you guys. I really am sorry. But I hope you guys have a great day. Peace out, everybody. Much love.